Everything must go. This month, we say goodbye to a retail icon that has been a part of the American culture for over a century. It's true. The blue light is fading to black on Kmart. On October the 20th, 2024, the very last full-scale Kmart in the U.S., the last Big K, will close its doors. And it's amazing to think that it's going to join a graveyard of other iconic brands. Think about it, like Blockbuster, Circuit City, Toys R Us, Radio Shack, and so many more. So the question is, what happened to Kmart and what can we learn from it? Well, stick around and we're going to talk about it together. Let's go. So for many of us, Kmart wasn't just a place to shop. It was an experience. It was where families went for everything from back-to-school shopping to Christmas shopping. And of course, who could forget the famous blue light specials? So today, I want to take a look at Kmart's rise and Kmart's fall, and of course, the lessons that we can learn from its story. So let's talk about the beginnings. Let's go back to the very beginning. The legacy began in 1899, and Kmart started with just a simple mission to offer quality products at affordable prices. It was such a simple concept, but this simple concept is what turned Kmart into a household name. Kmart actually ruled retail for decades. They were the place to be, the place to shop. By the 1980s, it was one of the largest and most recognizable retail chains in all of the U.S. But what made Kmart so successful was that people could go to Kmart and find almost anything that they needed. You could buy toys, electronics, garden supplies, and all of this was sold at affordable prices. See, we take this concept for granted today, but then it was groundbreaking. And then there was the famous blue light specials. You remember those, right? The in-store announcement, attention, Kmart shoppers. You would hear that over the intercom system, and it would be followed by a surprise flash sale in just one section of the store. It created this excitement and made shopping at Kmart more than just shopping. It made it fun. One thing I can remember specifically about Kmart was the Kmart Cafe. You would walk in the store and immediately you would smell pizza, hot dogs, and nachos. See, Kmart wasn't just another store. It was a deep-rooted experience for most families. But sadly, today, Kmart will now live as a nostalgic memory for many of us, and then some of you, you'll never even experience it. People won't even know that it existed. Kmart began to struggle in the late 1990s, and then by the early 2000s, it was clear the brand was in deep trouble and probably wasn't going to recover. But the question is, what went wrong? Well, there are many missteps in Kmart's journey, but I want to take a look today in our conversation at three specific things. First, I want to take a look at the competition. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but I'm not sure if that still applies if those flattering you are trying to put you out of business. See, retailers like Walmart and Target, they became better versions of Kmart. They began to dominate the market that Kmart once stood as king. They were offering lower prices, but better store layouts and more efficient operations. Walmart in particular became known for its unbeatable prices, their very impressive logistic structure, and their customer focus. Kmart simply found itself just being outpaced by the competition. So competition was the first big hurdle for Kmart. Second, Kmart struggled to adapt. See, the rise of e-commerce, today we take it for granted, we buy everything online, but that was a tough adjustment for many traditional retailers. But Kmart in particular just seemed to struggle with this change. Companies like Amazon, they began to take advantage of the new trends. They began to cater to the growth demand of convenience, but Kmart just didn't innovate quickly enough. And not only did they lack an online presence, but its stores, if you began to walk into a Kmart, it just felt outdated. But then stores like Walmart and Target, they had better in-store experiences. They were nicer, they looked better. And then, of course, online retailers, they began to rule that space. And then Kmart, once again, they were just left behind. The third thing that I'll mention that I think is worthwhile was the hopeless merger with Sears in 2005. Sears, another once dominant brand, began to merge with Kmart in hopes to help each other. And on paper, it seemed like a match that would ultimately strengthen both brands, but instead, it actually led to more problems. And then both companies already struggling, the merger ultimately just didn't do either one of them any good. So the question is, as maybe we mourn Kmart's story and the closing of the last full-scale Kmart here in the U.S., we have to ask, what can we learn from it? Well, I've got three key takeaways that I want to give. The first is for us who lead, whatever capacity, whether your business, whether a team, or your family, never stop evolving. Never stop evolving. If you're leading something, never stop evolving. Kmart's early success was built on understanding its customers. It was that connection, that experience that I mentioned earlier. They understood its customer, and they provided them with what they needed and at the right price. But as the world changed, Kmart didn't evolve quickly enough. Only if they had continued to evolve with the market. Maybe they could have had a stronger position. But because they were comfortable doing what they had always done, they were passed by the competition. See, change happens with or without us. We have to be adaptable. Technology is always changing. Hello, AI. Consumer preferences, they're always changing. The economy is always changing. The market is always changing. And this, of course, increases our competitive pressures. And companies that don't evolve, they will eventually be left behind. So I want to encourage you, take inventory of your organization or your leadership today and ask yourself this. What needs to change? What needs to evolve? What can I do to better deliver to those that I serve? And then number two, never stop innovating. Never stop innovating. You can't mention Kmart to most people without thinking about that blue light special. Now, unless you were there to experience it, it would be easy to dismiss how innovative this simple concept actually was. There was a physical blue light in the store that would randomly start flashing, and an announcement would be made over the intercom, attention Kmart customers, and then they would state a specific item that would be on sale at that moment. The Blue Light Special was first introduced in 1965, and it was actually introduced to sell slower moving merchandise, but it quickly became a strong branding element for Kmart. See, it became a part of the experience. The blue light was retired in 1991, but then they brought it back in the 2000s to try to build some excitement. See, in 1991, they took an innovation away that made them unique. The reason that it was instituted was innovation to move product that wasn't selling. But then they took an innovation away that actually gave them brand identification. The problem is that they didn't replace it with anything more innovative. Sometimes you have to remove things, sometimes you have to change, but they didn't replace it with anything that was better. See, innovation can't be a one-time thing. It has to be ongoing. Businesses, especially today, we compete on innovation, whether it's through your customer experience, new products, or even new technology. We have to stay innovating. And then number three, never stop caring. Never stop caring. For decades, Kmart had an incredible loyal customer base. People didn't just shop at Kmart because it was convenient. They shopped there because it was familiar. It was affordable. And for some, it was even a tradition. See, going to Kmart back in the day, it was a family event. You would do your holiday or back to school shopping, and then you would eat at the Kmart cafe, and then you would look for the blue light special to hopefully go off while you were there. See, the experience gave shoppers an emotional connection to the brand. However, it's important to understand brand loyalty is not permanent. It's something that businesses must continually nurture, take care of, and work for. And unfortunately, Kmart failed to invest in keeping that loyalty alive. You see, over time, customers noticed that the stores weren't as clean or well-stocked as they once were. The shopping experience started to feel a little outdated, especially when competitors like Walmart, you walked in Walmart, it was bright, it was well-organized, and of course, they had unbeatable prices. See, customers noticed that Kmart stopped caring about them as much as they cared about Kmart. Customers cared about Kmart a lot. They were still showing up. But they began to notice Kmart didn't care as much about them. And eventually, this emotional connection that they had with the brand, it began to deteriorate. And then when that deteriorates, so does your customer base. I say this often. This is the foundation of what I do for my business. So I'm going to say it again. There are many different missteps in Kmart's story, but here is what I think is the biggest. Without people, nothing can be successful. We have to keep our focus on those that we lead and those that we serve. Had Kmart kept their customers first, they would have recognized the need to evolve and to innovate. See, by caring for their customers, they would have responded to the market shifts. And as a leader, the question is, do you care about your team? Do you care about your customers? Do you care about your company? Never stop caring. So today, as we say goodbye to Kmart, another cultural icon that will only be a fond memory for many. Let this be a sober reminder to all of us that even the most successful businesses can fail if they don't evolve, if they don't innovate, and if they don't keep the care for their customers at the heart of everything that they do. So thanks for being a part of this with me today. If this brought value to your life, will you like, subscribe? Please share this with other people. And hey, if you have some fond memories of Kmart, I would love to hear about them. Just leave them in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.